Jeffersonian America and the War of 1812, 1801 to 1815. Continuous American-style narration. 11 labs ready. Use, pause, and as natural rhythm cues. In 1801, the United States was still an experiment. It had a constitution, a Bill of Rights, and a new habit: elections that could change power without bloodshed. But it also had debt, division, and a world that didn't care about American ideals. And now, for the first time, the people who feared a strong federal government were the ones running it. Thomas Jefferson became president, and the question wasn't just who won the election. The question was, what kind of country would the United States become? Jefferson called it a revolution of principle, meaning a change in direction, not a change in regime. He promised a republic that leaned lighter on centralized power, spent less, and trusted the independent citizen, especially the farmer. He spoke of simplicity, liberty, and a government restrained by the Constitution. But history rarely gives leaders a clean, quiet stage. Jefferson would soon discover that building a small government in a huge continent is not simple, and keeping peace in a world of empires is not easy. The Midnight Judges and a New Power for the Courts, 1801 to 1803. Before Jefferson even settled into office, the old Federalist leadership tried to lock in influence through the judiciary. In the final days of John Adams's presidency, Federalists passed the Judiciary Act of 1801 and filled new judgeships, appointments made late at night, in a rush to preserve Federalist power. They became known as the Midnight Judges. One of those appointments, William Marbury, never received his commission. Marbury sued, asking the Supreme Court to order delivery of his papers. That case becomes Marbury versus Madison in 1803, and its impact is massive. Because Chief Justice John Marshall does something brilliant and cautious at the same time. The court says Marbury had a right to his commission, but it also says the Supreme Court can't grant the remedy Marbury wants, because the law giving the court that power conflicts with the Constitution. So the court strikes part of the law down. In one move, the Supreme Court claims the authority to declare acts of Congress unconstitutional, what we call judicial review. The Constitution didn't spell that out in one sentence, but after 1803, the logic becomes real in practice. The court is not just a courtroom. It is a branch of government that can shape the meaning of the Constitution. And the new republic now has another source of tension. If the people's representatives pass a law and the court strikes it down, who truly defines the Constitution? The Louisiana Purchase. A small government buys a big continent. 1803. Then comes the moment that changes the map. In 1803, France, under Napoleon, controls Louisiana again after a transfer from Spain. For the United States, the key is not the empty land on the map, it's the Mississippi River and the port of New Orleans. That port is the gate for Western farmers to ship crops to global markets. If an empire controls it, the United States is vulnerable. Jefferson sends diplomats to negotiate, expecting to buy New Orleans, maybe a piece of surrounding land. Instead, France offers something astonishing: all of Louisiana. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubles the size of the United States at a stroke. It opens vast territory to American expansion. It also raises a deep constitutional question. Does the federal government have the authority to buy land like this? Jefferson is a strict constructionist in theory. He believes powers not listed in the Constitution should be treated with caution. Yet he also sees the opportunity, and he acts. This is the pattern of early American history. Principles meet reality, and reality forces the country to improvise. Lewis and Clark, America Looks West, 1804 to 1806. To understand what the purchase means, Jefferson sponsors an expedition. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark travel west, mapping routes, making contact with native nations, and gathering information about the continent. Their journey is not just exploration, it's politics. It signals American intention. The United States is not only on the coast anymore, it is expanding into the interior, toward the Pacific. For native nations, that intention is ominous. Diplomacy and trade continue, but the pressure is clear. More settlers are coming. The Barbary War. America tests power overseas. 1801 to 1805. While Americans debate power at home, another test arrives from across the Atlantic. In the Mediterranean, North African states, known collectively in U.S. sources as the Barbary States, demand tribute from maritime powers to protect shipping. The young United States had paid at times, but Jefferson dislikes the idea of buying security through tribute. So the U.S. fights the First Barbary War, 1801 to 1805. It's not a massive war, but it matters symbolically. The United States is willing to use naval power to protect commerce. A republic that distrusts standing armies still wants secure trade and will build force when necessary. This is the new reality. Freedom and commerce are tied together, and commerce pulls the nation into global conflict, even when it wants to stay out. The real enemy. The global war between Britain and France. The greatest threat to American stability in this era isn't internal rebellion. It's the collision of empires. Britain and France are at war for dominance, and the ocean becomes a battlefield. Both powers interfere with neutral shipping. Britain in particular impresses sailors, seizing men it claims are British subjects and forcing them into naval service. In American ports and newspapers, the stories spread. Men taken from ships, families shattered, national honor insulted. At the same time, Britain's policies squeeze American trade. France issues its own restrictions too. Neutrality becomes harder and harder to maintain, and the United States is too small to force both empires to respect it. The embargo. Jefferson's gamble. 1807 to 1809. Jefferson tries a bold solution that avoids war. Economic pressure. In 1807, after incidents like the Chesapeake Leopard affair, where a British warship attacked the American frigate USS Chesapeake and took sailors, public anger rises. Jefferson responds with the Embargo Act of 1807. It shuts down much of American trade with foreign nations, hoping to use economic pain to force Britain and France to change course. On paper, it looks like peaceful coercion. In reality, it hurts Americans, especially merchants and port cities, more than it hurts the European empires. Smuggling increases. Enforcement becomes intrusive. The policy becomes unpopular. Jefferson's dream of avoiding war through commerce collapses into economic hardship and political backlash. By 1809, as Jefferson leaves office, the embargo is repealed and replaced by new trade restrictions. But the damage, economic and political, lingers. Madison inherits a crisis, 1809 to 1812. James Madison becomes president in 1809. He inherits a country stuck between anger and weakness. Angered by British impressment and interference, weak in naval and military power compared to empires. In Congress, a new generation of leaders, often called war hawks, pushes for action. They speak of national honor. They speak of defending rights. They also speak of expansion, especially into Canada, believing Britain's position there makes the frontier unstable. Meanwhile, native resistance strengthens in parts of the West. Leaders like Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa work to build unity among native nations to resist American expansion. Frontier violence and fear deepen. In 1811, at the Battle of Tippecanoe, U.S. forces under William Henry Harrison clash with native forces associated with Tecumseh's movement. The conflict becomes another thread in the tangled web of war, because many Americans believe Britain supports native resistance to block U.S. expansion. Honor, territory, commerce, and fear all converge. The War of 1812, the Second War for Independence, 1812 to 1815. In June 1812, the United States declares war on Britain. It is a controversial decision. New England merchants, heavily dependent on trade, often oppose the war. Others see it as necessary, a fight to defend sovereignty on the seas and dignity as a nation. The war goes badly at first. American invasions of Canada fail. The U.S. military is small and unevenly trained. Yet Americans win surprising victories in some places, especially at sea, where frigate battles boost morale and prove the Navy can fight. The war is not one clean front. It's multiple wars at once. Naval conflict and blockades, battles along the Canadian border, fighting in the Great Lakes region, clashes on the frontier involving native nations, and later, intense fighting on the Atlantic coast and the South. In 1813, the Great Lakes become crucial. Control of these waters affects supply and movement. Key battles and campaigns shift momentum back and forth. In 1814, the war turns darker. Britain, freed from its major struggle with Napoleon after 1814, can focus more force on North America. British troops raid the Chesapeake. They march into Washington, D.C., and burn public buildings, including the Capitol and the President's House. The image is shocking. The national Capitol in flames. For a moment, Americans wonder if the Republic can be humiliated into surrender. But then another scene becomes legend. In September 1814, British forces attack Baltimore. Fort McHenry holds under bombardment. The defense inspires Francis Scott Key to write the poem that becomes The Star-Spangled Banner. The war remains exhausting. The blockade hurts the economy. Politics fractures. In New England, Federalist critics gather at the Hartford Convention, 1814 to 1815, complaining about the war and federal power. Their timing becomes disastrous for their reputation. because the war's ending makes their opposition look unpatriotic to many Americans. Peace and a final battle, 1814 to 1815. Peace negotiations take place in Europe. On December 24, 1814, the Treaty of Ghent is signed, ending the war. It largely returns conditions to the status quo ante bellum, meaning borders and territory mostly revert to what they were before the fighting. There is no explicit end to impressment written into the treaty, though the broader European situation changes and the practice fades as a cause of immediate crisis. But news travels slowly, and before Americans learn the war is over, one last major battle erupts. On January 8, 1815, Andrew Jackson leads American forces to a dramatic victory at the Battle of New Orleans. The battle happens after the treaty is signed, but before it is widely known in the United States. Its impact is political and emotional. It feels like a final proof that Americans can stand against Britain again. What changed after 1815? The War of 1812 ends without a clear, conquered outcome, but it changes the nation. It fuels a surge of nationalism. It weakens the Federalist Party, which never fully recovers from its perceived disloyalty. It elevates new heroes like Andrew Jackson and new confidence. It also accelerates changes in the economy and industry, especially as wartime disruption encourages domestic manufacturing. And in the West, the consequences are profound. Native resistance suffers major setbacks. U.S. expansion continues with greater force and momentum. So by 1815, the United States is still young, still imperfect, still divided. But it is also tougher, louder, and more certain of itself. It has tested the Constitution in crisis. It has survived another war with Britain. And now it faces the next question. If America is going to expand across a continent, what happens to the Union, the economy, and the people living in the path of that expansion? That's the next chapter, the era of good feelings and a nation in motion, 1815 to 1828. Continuous American-style narration, 11 labs ready. Use and cues to keep the rhythm natural. After the War of 1812, Americans wanted to believe the hardest part was over. The Republic had survived. Britain hadn't broken it. The Constitution had held. And for a brief moment, it looked like the country might finally breathe. Historians often call this period the era of good feelings. But the name can fool you, because beneath the surface, the United States was changing fast, and the speed of that change was quietly building new conflicts, economic booms and crashes, arguments about federal power, sectional tension over slavery, and a new, more intense style of politics. This is the story of the country between 1815 and 1828, when America expanded, modernized, and began drifting toward storms it could not yet see clearly. Monroe's America. Unity on the outside. James Monroe becomes president in 1817. The Federalist Party is fading, weakened by the war and by its association with unpopular opposition. For a while, it seems like national politics might calm down. Monroe tours the country and is welcomed almost everywhere. People talk about being Americans first and partisans second. But unity is easier to perform than to sustain. Because even if one party is fading, disagreements don't disappear. They just find new forms. A country built on movement, roads, rivers, and canals. The years after 1815 mark the acceleration of what historians call the market revolution. The United States begins turning into a connected economy, one where goods, people, and information move faster than before. Turnpikes and bridges spread. Steamboats transform river travel and trade, changing how quickly farmers can reach markets. And then comes one of the most famous projects of the era, the Erie Canal. Completed in 1825, the Erie Canal links the Great Lakes to the Atlantic through New York. It slashes transportation costs. It pulls Western farmers into Eastern markets. It helps make New York City the dominant commercial port of the nation. And it accelerates settlement because it makes the interior feel closer. This is the quiet revolution of infrastructure. When you shorten distance, you change destiny. But it also raises a political question that never goes away. Who should pay for these projects? States, private investors, or the federal government? Some leaders want national internal improvements. Others fear that federal involvement will expand central power too far. The American system and the debate over national power. In this era, Henry Clay promotes what he calls the American system. Protective tariffs to support American manufacturing, a national bank to stabilize finance, and internal improvements to knit the country together. Supporters argue it will strengthen the nation and help it compete with Europe. Critics argue it concentrates power and benefits some regions more than others, especially manufacturing centers in the north. Even when the country looks calm, these debates show that America is still arguing about its identity. Is it a nation of local independence or a national power built by federal planning? The Second Bank and the Supreme Court's federal moment. To stabilize the economy after wartime chaos, Congress charters the Second Bank of the United States in 1816. Supporters call it essential for a modern economy. Critics call it a tool of elites. These arguments are strengthened by a series of Supreme Court decisions under Chief Justice John Marshall, decisions that expand and clarify federal authority and the protection of contracts. In 1819, McCulloch versus Maryland becomes a landmark. Maryland tries to tax the national bank. The court rules that Congress has implied powers under the Necessary and Proper Clause to create the bank, and that states cannot tax federal institutions in ways that undermine federal authority. Around the same period, cases like Dartmouth College versus Woodward, 1819, protect contracts from certain state interference, reinforcing a legal environment friendly to business development. And in Gibbons versus Ogden, 1824, the court strengthens federal power over interstate commerce, limiting state monopolies that conflict with national authority. Together, these rulings send a signal. The federal government has real power, and the Supreme Court will defend it. The Panic of 1819, when the boom turns into fear. Then the optimism shatters. In 1819, the United States experiences a major economic crisis, the Panic of 1819, widely remembered as the first major financial panic of the new nation. Credit tightens, businesses fail, unemployment rises, farm prices drop, foreclosures increase. Ordinary people feel betrayed. Many had borrowed money to expand farms or start enterprises in a booming post-war economy. When credit contracts, they collapse, and they want someone to blame. Banks, speculators, politicians, the system. The panic exposes something Americans are just beginning to understand. A modern economy can grow fast and then destroy lives fast. Florida, Spain, and the shape of the Southeast. 1819. While economic stress spreads, the United States is also expanding. Florida is a point of friction with Spain, and the borderlands become unstable. American leaders want control for security and for expansion. In 1819, the Adams-Onis Treaty, also called the Transcontinental Treaty, is negotiated with Spain. Spain cedes Florida to the United States, and boundaries in the West are clarified. The deal matters because it closes a European foothold in the Southeast and helps define American claims toward the Pacific. Again, the pattern holds. Growth reshapes policy, and policy reshapes the map. Missouri and the Union's shadow, 1819 to 1820. Now comes the issue that refuses to stay quiet: slavery. As settlers move west, the nation must decide, will new states allow slavery or not? In 1819, Missouri applies for admission as a slave state. That threatens to shift the balance between free and slave states, especially in the Senate, where each state has equal votes. The debate is intense because it is about more than Missouri. It is about power. If one section gains an advantage in the Senate, it can shape national policy for decades. The result becomes the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Missouri enters as a slave state. Maine enters as a free state. And slavery is restricted in the Louisiana Territory north of latitude 36 degrees 30 minutes, except for Missouri. This compromise does not solve slavery. It postpones a collision. It draws a line across the map and across the future. It proves the Union can negotiate, but only by managing, not ending, the underlying conflict. Compromise buys time, but time comes with interest. America looks outward. The Monroe Doctrine, 1823. As the United States expands, it also looks outward. Latin American independence movements weaken European control across the hemisphere. Some European powers consider intervention. In 1823, Monroe delivers a message that becomes known as the Monroe Doctrine. The Americas are not open to further European colonization, and European interference in the Western Hemisphere will be viewed as hostile, while the United States will not involve itself in Europe's internal wars. At the time, the United States cannot enforce this doctrine alone everywhere. But the declaration matters. It signals ambition. It asserts a sphere of interest. It tells the world that the United States expects to shape the Western Hemisphere's future. America is still young, but it is already speaking like a power. The election of 1824, when unity breaks. By the mid-1820s, the illusion of a calm, one-party nation collapses. Without clear party structures, politics becomes a battlefield of personalities, regions, and rival visions. In the election of 1824, multiple candidates compete. Andrew Jackson, John Quincy Adams, William H. Crawford, and Henry Clay. Jackson wins the most popular votes and electoral votes, but not a majority in the Electoral College. So the Constitution sends the decision to the House of Representatives. The House chooses John Quincy Adams. Henry Clay, influential in the House, supports Adams. Adams then appoints Clay as Secretary of State. Jackson's supporters call it a corrupt bargain. Whether the phrase is fully fair or not, the political effect is real. Millions of Americans begin to believe that elites manipulate outcomes, and that belief fuels a new kind of mass politics, organized, emotional, and relentless. Adams, Policy, and the Limits of Elite Government. As president, John Quincy Adams supports ambitious national programs, internal improvements, education, science, and a stronger national role in development. But his vision runs into political reality. Many Americans distrust national planning, regional interests clash, and the rising Jackson movement is not interested in quiet policy debates. It is interested in power and in claiming the political system for the people. In this era, democracy becomes louder. Tariffs and the storm signals, 1828. Then comes the tariff crisis. In 1828, Congress passes a high tariff, later denounced by Southern critics as the Tariff of Abominations. Supporters say tariffs protect American manufacturing. Opponents argue tariffs raise prices and benefit one region, especially the industrializing North, at another's expense. This debate is not just economic, it is sectional. It's about whether the federal government will be used to shape the economy and who pays the price. And in the background, slavery and expansion continue to haunt every political argument. By 1828, the United States is a nation in motion, but pulled in different directions. North and south, coast and frontier, banks and farmers, federal power and states' rights. And into that tension steps a figure who embodies the new age, Andrew Jackson, war hero, frontier symbol, and political force. The next chapter is Jeffersonian America, where democracy expands and the Union begins to strain.